Reserve time.
Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Our second game of the day now underway here in Starladder Season 8, Day 22. Game 2 is, of course, Fnatic versus Next.KZ, and we are in the draft, ready to rock and roll. I'm Zyora, with me is Synderin, and as we were talking about in our preamble before the last game, this is actually a big one. Next.KZ right now 9-3, and following that last game, Fnatic now 6-2. Two teams that are well, in the running for that top 4 position. So this is a big match. If Next.KZ lose it, they will be 9-4. They may still have a chance to make it into that top 4 slot, but a big game nonetheless. I'm pumped up, Synderin. How about yourself?
Most certainly. I have to say this is I'm excited to see if Next.KZ watched that last game and if they're going to do anything about it. At least they did ban out the Elder Titan, so Fnatic won't be getting their hands on that. But it seems like, I feel like Hani gets his Invoker a lot, and maybe gets it too much. I think it's the mid-hero Fnatic are most comfortable with playing around, and they love to pick it unless if there's a really solid counter to him for the laning stage. And even then, Hani generally gets away with it, because if you're playing a solid Exort Invoker with Forge Spirit, you will always get farm against any sort of hero. Even in hard matchups, Hani tends to have a high impact on the game. So, curious to see what Next goes for. It's going to be a first pick Crystal Maiden for Fnatic, actually, which I think is very unusual for them to do. So maybe this is a directed pick at Next, something that Next likes to play, and maybe they just don't want to give it away. But
yeah,
let's do a quick, since we're this early into the draft, let's do a little bit of a quick, not a recap, but let's look a little bit forward on how we're going to look after today, because every team will have 17 matches in total, because there's 18 teams in there. Of course, 2 of them are default wins against Aspera and 4FC, who have disbanded.
Right.
But that means after today, Na'Vi will have played 14 out of their 17 games. Alliance will have played 14 out of their 17 games. Fnatic will still be trailing by quite a few, but they're catching up. And let's see, Sigma will have 2 more matches, then they will have played 11. So we're getting all the teams into 2 digits, and it's not going to decide anything yet today. But it's going to mean that if Na'Vi win both their matches later on, they're going to be tied with Alliance. If Next.KZ wins this, is that their only match today, actually? Or do they have one more? It's their only match today, so yeah. Next will be up to 13 games. There's a lot of teams closing in on their final score, and absolutely nothing is guaranteed right now. Alliance currently in first place with 11-3 aren't even guaranteed a top 4 right now.
Yeah. Today will not be the decider, and then after today we'll have one more day until our Christmas break, and I still don't think we'll have too much decided by then. I actually don't have it. I gotta open up my schedule here. Let's see. I thought I had it open. I guess I closed it by mistake. All right, so where are we at? Tomorrow is the 23rd. And we actually have 6 games tomorrow, 2 Na'Vi matches, Empire versus TR, a couple of one-sided ones, but tomorrow Na'Vi should have most of their games played. Not all of them, but after today, Na'Vi will be pretty close to achieving all of their games, and we should know pretty well, or have an idea of if they're going to be locked in. Alliance, of course, are leading the way right now with the most matches played at 14, sitting 11-3. So it is sort of the gold standard right now for first place. And I think if anyone can make it up to like the 11-10 win mark with only 2 losses, they will be in very good shape. rox.kis as well as Sigma and Fnatic are the only teams still with only 2 losses. So all of them still in the running here. Next league are 9-3. So a lot can still happen, but very, very important games. I think we can't emphasize that enough.
Reserve time.
Most definitely. So in Fnatic are hoping to continue this streak. I think the first 2 losses that they had were very early on in the tournament, and all the last games we've seen from Fnatic have been pretty solid. They maybe, you could say, a little bit shaky yesterday against SSD, where they made some weird overextensions, but they still had the control of that game for the majority of it because of their IO. And interestingly, it is still in the pool. IO is still available. Next did not ban it out, so is Prophet. And these 2 are generally Fnatic's go-to first picks, but haven't chosen either of them. Really interesting to see how Fnatic are able to play all these different kind of styles and aren't really locked on anything, so will not choose IO here. I love the Timbersaw pick, by the way. Of course, Next did show their hand a little bit by picking Alchemist and Clockwork, 2 melee strength heroes that is something Timbersaw loves to feast on.
Yep, absolutely. And as we've talked about, the pure damage does well, but also the whirling death, reducing those stats, works very well against those tanky heroes, especially Bristleback. Of course, he was banned out here, but, well, just always important to note about Timbersaw. I guess Fnatic could still pick Wisp if they wanted to here. Still an option, as he hasn't been banned out. Next League may opt to do it with their final ban. But, yeah, a little bit interesting. I was going to say, they tend to favor Visage over that Crystal Maiden, but Fnatic were actually the ones to ban out the Visage here, which is also a little bit interesting because they did have first pick. So, I think you might have been on the money with trying to deny that CM from Next League and then also take her for themselves. Ooh, OD going to be grabbed here by Next League, and they will ban out Hani's Invoker.
And they also ban the Enchantress. I like Next's draft simply because their bans are really targeted. This is all Fnatic top heroes, but once again, like I said before, Fnatic just seems to have such a big hero pool.
They really do.
You can't really ban them out in any sense. You could try to make your own strategy better, which is of course what Next has tried here, but banning out Invoker maybe a little bit counterintuitive, but Invoker actually does fairly well against OD if he's played as Exort. He can actually stand against OD and do well. If he gets the Forge Spirit early on, which Invoker can now do from level 3, 1 point in Quas, 1 in Exort, and then 1 in the ult, he can stand and farm against OD. He has high damage because of the Exort, and then the Forge Spirit's additional damage will allow you to overcome the deficit you generally tend to get as an Intel hero against OD. So, I understand the ban. It's a great pick for Fnatic, and one of the few heroes that, as Intel, can stand against Next's OD, which we are going to have to assume will be mid.
Yes, absolutely. Now, some of those classic counters to OD are still in the pool. Razor, namely, the first one that comes to mind. Also, the Kunkka that we've talked about a little bit. Dragon Knight does fare pretty well. And Dragon Knight is a hero that Fnatic do like to run on some occasions, so could be a possible pick here. He doesn't really deny the farm from OD, but those early points in Dragon's Blood make it virtually impossible for OD to solo him down unless the Dragon Knight makes a huge misstep. But there it is, going to be a third pick Wisp, so Fnatic will stick to their guns. And statistically speaking, Next.KZ going to be in trouble here because I think it is literally over 80% win rate with Wisp when in the hands of Fnatic, in particular No Tail. So scary indeed. We'll see what Fnatic want to pair with the mighty Io.
They've got lots of options, and this is a very nice time to pick the IO as well, because they have the next pick before there's a ban. So Next can't ban out the counter that they don't want to, or the combination with IO they don't want to face. They have to block pick it, which they really can't with their lineup. Fnatic generally tends to favor Tiny and the Chaos Knight for the IO, and Next, it doesn't really fit their lineup, either of them, I think so.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to give it away, and I'm assuming Fnatic will want one of them. We also saw them playing Storm Spirit with it yesterday. I think that is not so good here. Next we'll be getting Shadow Demon. Maybe a kind of as an idea of how to counter the IO. Once you relocate into the fight, you can of course disrupt the target and buy time for a turnaround. And once again, we see this duo of OD and Shadow Demon together that has seemed to become more and more popular simply because of the double reset you get with Disruption and Astral. It's very interesting. This was a combination that was kind of hasn't been played in the last months, and now we've seen it 3 times today and yesterday combined.
Yeah, and it really does work pretty well, but it's one of those things, it sort of reminds me of Lich a little bit. It's a crafty thing that you can do. It's sort of a very niche style in terms of there aren't other heroes that can put you in that kind of awkward banished state, but does it actually win games is the ultimate question, and statistically this strategy has been working well, but as you pointed out yesterday, the teams that have been running these two together have also kind of been the heavy favorites. I don't know, would you say that this is a winning combo, that it actually wins games, or is it just one of those sort of irritating plays that you can do on the field that may buy you some time? Yes, does sort of counter Doom a little bit and some of those other treacherous dots, but all in all, do those plays really translate into victories?
I don't know. I don't feel like it's particularly good. It's
yeah. Just annoying more so.
it's good. It's always good to have these kind of resets, but I don't feel like by any stretch that it's a winning combination. That these two heroes don't have the kind of synergy that would warrant that being an amazing pickup together. But at least if you're playing against something like an IO, I think buying time can actually be very essential, because IO fights are often very chaotic and happen spontaneously where the relocate comes in. So if you can buy the time and get your support in and get other cores into the fight, it can definitely make a big difference. Now,
Radiant
Fnatic will pick their Razor that we haven't seen them playing for a long time, but not too much to analyze on that. It's a direct counterpick to OD in the lane, and a counterpick to Alchemist if that gets run as a carry, of course. Both because of the static link. Yeah, that's why you pick the Razor.
I think it's going to be a Hani Razor here. I think they will hope that OD is going to be mid, Hani going to take the Razor mid, and probably going to be that Trixie Timber Song. Of course, No Tail on his Wisp, and that leaves Fly on the Crystal Maiden. And we'll see what Fnatic want to do with their final pick. Tiny was banned by Next League, always a classic combo with the Wisp, one that Fnatic have run on several occasions. But you can't ban them all, so Ursa's still a reality here. We've mentioned that Gyrocopter is one that they've run a couple of times, not always, but could work here. And I do love this final ban from Fnatic. Weaver, I think, would have been a hero that really could have been irritating for him here. They don't have a lot of lockdown, basically just Frostbite. And as we've mentioned many a time, Weaver is a hero that thrives in an environment where you don't have a lot of hard stuns, a lot of crowd controls, and I think that's just a really smart ban. It is going to be a Queen of Pain final pick for Next League, though, and that will make it a bit more difficult for Fnatic to predict where's that OD going to go. Will he be in the safe lane, or will it be Queen of Pain in the safe lane? And that's where this laning bit is going to get a little bit hard, because of course you do want to match up the Razor against the OD.
First of all, you want to match up the Razor against OD, and secondly, Queen of Pain is perhaps the best one-on-one hero against Razor. It's a very intelligent pick from Next, because the way Razor wins his lane is obviously by stealing damage with static link, but the problem against Queen of Pain is she can always blink it, and it's a cost-effective skill. It's not that expensive to blink away, so you can't even win on mana economy. And the interesting thing is, if Queen of Pain gets put against the Razor, Queen of Pain loves to play aggressively in the lane, which is something 90 out of 100 heroes, or maybe 95 out of 100 heroes can't do against Razor at all in the lane. Simply can't go aggressively on him because he just fights back and steals the damage. But Queen of Pain can. Shadow Strike, you start hitting him. Once he links, you blink away. If he doesn't link, you keep hitting him and you'll win the exchange. So very intelligent pick. Fnatic will go for that Storm Spirit again together with Io that they used against SSD yesterday, and I'm not sure about this, to be honest. Like, I was skeptical yesterday as well, and maybe even more so here, because this Queen of Pain, they don't have much lockdown, like you said. They have Vortex now from the Storm, which is all good, but Vortex and Frostbite as the two only abilities, as well as playing the Storm Spirit against an OD, maybe even in the lane. If Fnatic run a dual lane mid, that could become a reality. I have to see the lanes first before I give anyone the advantage here. I don't think anyone got the better end of this, but it really depends on who gets the better out of the mind game in how the lanes are put, because to me nothing is obvious whatsoever here.
Yes, certainly not, and it's still sort of hard to swallow this strategy that Fnatic have been running with the Wisp paired with the Storm Spirit. When we saw it yesterday, we were both sort of caught off guard, I think, of that pairing, but it worked pretty well, and if Era gets that early farm, he can usually translate that into a bit of an advantage, and once that Storm Spirit hits that kind of critical mass of levels as well as mana pool, and he can use that Ball Lightning and have enough left over to use that Vortex and the Remnant, Eric can start to take over the game. Already a very mobile hero, and then when tethered with the Wisp as that kind of taxi service relocating him around, it can be a very potent duo that can be hard to deal with just because it's so mobile. And Next.KZ, they have some lockdown. I guess you can count those banish abilities as lockdown, but not really against the Storm Spirit, because as soon as he pops out, he's going to be Ball Lightning away. Really, it's that Unstable Concoction is their big bit of disable, and the little bit that Clockwork brings to the table with that hook shot. So going to be very interesting. And, well, we'll see if Fnatic can make it happen with those very elusive plays. Still curious how they're going to lane this, though. It looks like on the Radiant side, of course, Team Next.KZ will put Mantis here on the Outworld Devourer in the safe lane. And it looks like Whatafaka is going to be playing on the Clockwork. They did swap. It was Whatafaka on the OD at first, and now I think they have swapped here.
The battle begins.
This is very interesting lanes from both teams. For a moment, I thought Fnatic were going to run an aggressive trial lane with Crystal Maiden, Io, and Razor, which is a very potent lane. I believe we saw Na'Vi playing that at EMS 1, actually, in their game up against Sigma. I'm pretty sure that was that exact lane that they had there, and it did a lot of damage, so
yeah.
I think Fnatic could have run that. They're not going to do it, though. They will put the Razor mid, and he's going to face off against Clockwork, which is, of course, a good lane for Razor since it's a melee hero, so he's going to be fine. But the question is what implications it has on the other lanes. If this top lane is going to be 2-on-1, which I assume it is with Io and Storm, then Next is going to lose this lane as well. And then finally bottom, CM and Timbersaw against these three is of course going to be the harder one, but because the carry on the lane for Next is an OD who doesn't really provide much very early on, I think Fnatic might have just put the ideal lanes for this game without even knowing what Next.KZ does, so this is very well done by them.
Yeah, and I would agree. It's a little bit of a dice roll here. Hard to say exactly what Next.KZ are going to do, especially when they're swapping heroes around. Looks like we will have a resume, but Fnatic will get the better of that kind of coin flip decision here to start things off, and we'll see if Next.KZ opt for a lane rotation. Some of it depends on actually how much farm this OD will be able to rack up. They do have an okay setup here. They've got the double banish, of course, the disruption and the astral imprisonment in this bottom lane, so that will buy them some time in terms of aggression, but yeah, CM as well as Timbersaw, a pretty aggressive lane here. They can put out quite a bit of burst damage between the two of them. And of course, having CM with those early points in Arcane Aura will open up for Trixie to be a bit more aggressive with those mana-intensive abilities. And as we see, neither of them have skilled up an ability quite yet, being very, very patient.
This laning stage is going to have so big implications on the game. It's hard to tell who... Of course, I feel like Fnatic got the better start just off of the way the lanes are put, but if they make one or two misplays in the bottom lane, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Maiden and Timbersaw here. Shadow Demon and Alchemist, if they do have... They actually have 3 smokes. Oh my god, they bought all their smokes at level 1. I don't think I've ever seen this before. They're going to instantly smoke here after pulling once, and this is very smart. Because unless maybe Fnatic saw that coming, but this is an intelligent pull. They pull first, so Fnatic knows they're pulling in the jungle, and this is going to give a feeling of safety in mid for Hani. Because alright, Fnatic can call out, they were pulling here, you're not going to get ganked right now, and they smoke and just abandon the second part of the pull. But Fnatic might have realized this as the supports are gone already.
Yeah.
And we'll see if Hani backs off here. If he does, this is a very good play from Fnatic.
They are going to rotate around. They're stationed up about the high ground, but look at that positioning from Hani. They know trickery is afoot. Fnatic are wise to it, and Hani going to maintain this very, very defensive posture here. He's just going to throw a plasma field for a little bit of harassment, and the smoke will be revealed, and Hani going to be very happy with himself. No doubt here, as both have to walk back with their tails between their legs, so to speak. Double damage rune down here in the bottom. Looks like Fnatic will be able to grab it as Fly does rotate over. He did go for the Crystal Nova first. First gank going to be a bit of a failure here for Next.KZ. Those supports wasting a lot of valuable time, both only level 1. And Fnatic really off to a good start here.
Yeah, if this support duo from Next.KZ doesn't manage to accomplish much here in the early game, I would definitely say Fnatic have a great start. Because of the way they are running their lanes, they'll have a fast level 6 on both IO and Storm Spirit. And that's going to make the map a living hell for Next.KZ, and they're going to constantly have to be on the back foot and always respond to ganks or try to set up baits. Bottom lane, going to be a little bit of an Astral here, but Trixie with his skill build, he's holding on to his 3rd point right now. If he gets initiated on, he can choose to skill Reactive Armor level 2, and then he's going to be a very hard kill. And, well, like you said, Fnatic, I would really favor their position already here 3 minutes in.
Yeah, and part of the issue with OD in this tri-lane, like you mentioned, I just don't think they have the damage to set up a kill. I mean, maybe on the Crystal Maiden if he really steps, or she steps too far forward, of course, he being the Fly. But, I mean, Shadow Demon doesn't do a hell of a lot of damage here in the early levels, nor does Mantis. You know, you usually don't get Arcane Orb for quite a while. And Reeves, although Alchemist can do a good bit of damage, he doesn't have farm priority here. He is going to go a pretty standard opener, 2-2, with that Acid Spray and the Unstable Concoction. And Trixie knows he's pulling. He's going to go over, and he will clear some of that up. So, going to find the best of the farm and not give Reeves free reign of the jungle. Still finding the better down here. And, of course, it is a 2v3. So, if it's basically a break-even, that's essentially a victory for Fnatic, as they're just getting a better bang for their buck in that kind of a scenario. Let's talk about this top lane a little bit, as it has been pretty quiet. Era farming away. He is 17-6, just on point with that 18-6 OD in the bottom lane. Queen of Pain only 7-4, so they're doing a pretty good job zoning out equal. He has been able to grab experience, well on his way to level 4. Timbersaw, his sort of counterpart, actually at just about the same exact level of experience, so pretty even on that front. But the valuable thing is No Tail getting a lot of experience here on the Wisp. We are going to see a kill setup down here in the bottom, but not going to happen. Trixie going to be able to Timber Chain up to the high ground. Fly going to come in. Razor going to rotate down as well. Whatafaka is going to be able to bottle up the Haste Rune. He's going to use it, and now Fly could be in a little bit of trouble here. He is going to try and pursue. 2 points in Rocket, 2 points in the Battery Assault. And not going to dive the tower. Fly with great positioning, does make it out in time. And Whatafaka going to be forced to turn back towards the mid lane. Trixie, though, he's going to take a bit of damage here. He will have Timber Chain. Is going to hop away. Still not out of the clear quite yet. This haste rune still going to be on for a little while longer. He is going to poke him forward with the cogs. I'm not sure if that was intentional. I don't think it was.
He hit the right cog, couldn't get out. He hit the left cog, couldn't get out. Now he's in trouble. Oh, what a fucker. This is not what he wanted to happen. There's a level 3 plasma field on cooldown though, so Hani won't be able to get the kill. But meanwhile, Era and No-Tail up top.
They killed the Queen of Pain.
Lovely duo. Yeah. Era x No-Tail will be getting the first kill here on Queen of Pain. That was just really strange what happened there from the Clockwork.
Yeah.
It was a shame for him because generally you love getting a haste this early on Clockwork and you could track down the supports, but the positioning here was just so awkward for Next.KZ that they couldn't really capitalize on it whatsoever. And essentially he wastes his time here, uses the rune as well, and now Hani has a big experience advantage, about 450 experience lead in that mid lane in an already favorable matchup for him. It's going to look really strong right now.
Yeah, and in terms of last hits, Hani's sitting 28-6 against the 17-4 Clockwork, so needless to say the Razor getting the better of it, but what the fuck is holding his own? He's doing okay, at least getting farm, not totally zoned out, has been able to pick up a few runes, and I think all in all he's been faring pretty well, considering Razor has a pretty sizable advantage. Up in the top, oh, I'm going to catch the tail end of it here, but Era as well as No-Tail going to be able to grab yet another kill on the Queen of Pain, and it's a very deadly duo, but I feel like Quap should have enough utilities under her belt to be able to escape compliments of the Blink. I mean, Electric Vortex, pardon me, does do a fair disable, but that's 2 deaths now. Very unfortunate. Really don't want to feed that Storm Spirit any more than he's already getting fed with that essential free farm. Oh, but we'll hold that thought as Whatafaka maybe in some trouble here. Trixie is invisible, looking for an opening here, and Whatafaka with superior positioning. Wow, he's just going to continue to fog. And I don't know if Trixie's going to find him. He may just rotate up to the top. Whatafaka going to luck out a little bit here.
Yeah, very nicely played here, not getting caught off here by the Timber Saw. Did see the rune getting picked up, of course, so did know it was coming here from Trixie, and will play it very nicely here. I have to say, I think the Queen of Pain, the moment Storm is level 6 in this top lane, she can't stand there anymore when he has an ally in No-Tail. It's just too hard, since No-Tail can keep funneling mana into the Storm Spirit to keep jumping, as well as, yeah, he obviously has his Ball Lightning to just get in close and get the Vortex off, like you said. So the first kill was probably the one he could have avoided, because I believe Storm Spirit was level 5 when Queen of Pain died the first time.
Yeah.
And then after Storm is level 6, it's just a no-go, and you see Equal has rotated mid. This top lane is now void. He cannot go there. I don't think any hero from Next.KZ can actually go up here right now.
Whatafaka feeling confident, though. He is going to rotate up that way. He is level 6, does have hook shot available, but it looks like Fnatic may want to start pressuring this top tier 1 tower. Fly has actually rotated up as well, and Timbersaw holding the mid lane, and that's going to open up for Hani just to move into the jungle. So they are going to hand over some free farm to this Outworld Devourer, and I guess Fnatic feeling very confident here that they'll be okay if they just rotate up to the top lane. Speaking of OD, he is going to pick up a hand of Midas here. It won't be the fastest Midas, but going to grab in that inventory right around the 8-minute mark. So not too shabby. And Era probably not going to be grabbing a Midas of his own, so perhaps Fnatic maybe almost baiting that a little bit to let Mantis feel safe, encourage him to go the Midas so that they can punish that mid-game when he still has that economic advantage. That may be reading into that a little bit too much, but perhaps that's what Fnatic is up to, leaving this OD to his own devices.
I don't think OD is going to be that big of a problem for them just yet. But obviously, when we reach a later point in the game, it's always dangerous to play a mid-game against a farmed OD, but the trade Fnatic is getting for it, I think, is good enough. Just the raw last hit advantage that they've got. Of course, Timbersaw didn't really get much in the bottom lane. He actually only has 8 CS at 8 minutes in a dual lane with Fly, so perhaps the lane for Fnatic that went the worst, because mid and top have been doing very well. Hani is 20 CS ahead at 8 minutes in the mid lane, and Era is on par with the OD after getting 2 kills top as well, together with No-Tail here. So I think Fnatic are okay. I think it doesn't matter too much for them that OD gets strong, so long as a second hero as well doesn't start catching farm. And by the looks of it, nobody on Next.KZ is getting anything significant just now. Yeah. The question is if they can start finding kills now. And Clockwork, that's another problem for Clockwork in this lineup. He's kind of a good hero against IO, but also bad, because the initiation Clockwork goes in. When he goes in on a target, it can backfire really hard when you're against an IO. You can get relocated onto, or you can relocate the target of Clock's choice out of the fight and come back renewed. So it's a little bit tricky here for Next.KZ, and we're going to have to wait and see if they can make some rotations. Their first smoke failed, and since then they haven't used another one. I think they need to find kills. I don't think they can be content with nothing happening right now.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right. And Storm really off to a good start here. He is at 3.7k on the net worth chart, a little bit ahead of that OD, but also Razor. Hani's farm is not negligible right now. He is number 3 on that net worth chart, really by a big margin, 1k ahead of that Clockwork. Just about a 50% lead over the Clockwork, actually, maybe slightly less, but very, very sizable. And that means Hani will be able to transition into a little bit more of a carry type Razor here. He does actually have 4 points in Plasma Field, 1 point in that Static Link. So going for a little bit more bursty style build here for his opener. And sort of curious about what item he's going to go for first. He does have 1.5k in the bank and very standard items right now. Any thoughts about items here? Theory crafting item progression for Razor, given that we have a moment here in this pause?
Given that Hani has 1500 gold, it might be a Midas. I think this...
Boots of Travel first, true Hani style?
I would be very surprised. Even for Hani, I don't think Boots of Travel is the choice he's going to go on Razor first. In my mind, it's either going to be a Midas if they're feeling comfortable in the game right now, or maybe straight into an Axe or Drum.
Yeah.
And upgrade his boots. Not to Boots of Travel, but to Phase Boots or Treads. I think Phase Boots on Razor are really good simply because of the way you can keep running your Static Link.
Yeah.
But judging from Hani's skill build here, he doesn't seem to value Static Link that highly, and I like this choice because his lane, he didn't really need it against Clockwork. And later on in the game, because Alchemist isn't a carry here either, I don't think the Link is going to be the most important. I think Plasma Field actually at this point is a more important skill. I think he's still going to level up the Link over his Unstable Current so he can steal damage from the OD. But I really like his adaptation choice here, and we'll see what he goes for. Era will get a fast Orchid by the looks of it, and yeah, I think it's kind of Hani that we are uncertain about right now. The rest seems fairly obvious.
And I mean, one of the scariest things for Next.KZ here is we have resumed is that No-Tail hit level 6 very early. That's one of the things we tend to talk about when Wisp is picked. You need to get level 6 kind of as quickly as possible. A completely different hero once you have Relocate, and No-Tail has done it in a very timely manner here. They've had a lot of room up in the top lane, and Fnatic have been able to make do with that. And now things for Next.KZ will get a little bit more difficult. There's the Relocate already. Amazing, going to get caught, and Speak of the Devil. That's going to be a free kill, baiting it out with that Timbersaw illusion. That is a very valuable illusion right there, and does set up for another free kill. Era going to be 3-0-0 to start things off. They'll relocate back up top, and Fnatic continuing on with their pretty sizable lead here, somewhere about 1,500 gold, 2,500 experience. Not too bad for the 9-minute mark.
And in a game like this, when Storm gets a good start, it gets really scary fast for Next.KZ, because you always have to consider, when Storm Spirit has a good game, how many counters are there on the other team to stop him from balling out of control? Oh, here we go. He's actually going to go into Waterfucker here. There is going to be backup from Fly with both Frostbite and Nova. I don't think they... Yeah, they do have the damage, but No-Tail might be the casualty here. No, he's actually staying alive as well. Very nicely played by Fnatic.
Oh, no.
2-0, and... Oh, is there enough mana in the tank here for Era? I think there is.
Oh, no. That's all that I can say about that. That was just a disaster for Next.KZ, porting in one at a time, making for just back-to-back-to-back very easy kills for Era. No-Tail still having some connection issues here. Is going to reset once again, but now we were just talking about Era balling out of control. He's now 5-0-1. Him and No-Tail have been involved in every single kill that's come out onto the field so far for Fnatic, and that's going to be pretty close to the Orchid for Storm Spirit. He's going to have that second Oblivion Staff now. Oh, boy.
Who's going to stop him?
Yeah.
That's the problem. They have the Unstable Concoction, which isn't instant, and then they have the Hookshot, and that's basically it. So this Orchid Storm Spirit, I think, is going to have a lot of fun in this game, because there's just not too much to deal with him. It was a nice last pick from Fnatic, realizing that they had that opening in the draft, and because of the way the lanes went, this could end up being a very, very one-sided game right now. I mean, obviously, games that start out 6-0 tend to get one-sided, but some of them, there's an exchange, you know. A team gets some kills, the other gets a tower maybe, or gets some good farm, and OD, by all means, has got really good farm. He's got 70 CS at 10 minutes, which is great. The problem is that everything else is just falling apart, and he simply can't keep up even with a Midas and 70 CS. Era is still going to be way above him on the net worth by about 1,000, because he's simply getting the better of it. And Next.KZ, where's their turnaround? When does the comeback come where they start using their abilities combined and get a team fight or a gank off?
Yeah, and that's where things get a little scary. It sort of depends on Mantis a little bit. He is the only one farming really well. If you look at that net worth chart, it's actually pretty darn scary for Next.KZ. The OD is number 2 on the chart, sort of nipping at the heels of Era, but everyone else is just lacking so much right now. Clockwork number 2, and he really doesn't have much to his name. He's got Boots of Speed, a Bracer, a Bottle, and a Magic Wand. That's really not a hell of a lot. Queen of Pain in an even worse situation. Similar item spread, and of course she did just get killed, so that will further slow down the item progression. Hopefully this OD can get huge. That's really what Next.KZ are banking on right now, but I just don't know that it's going to be enough. With this level of momentum that Fnatic have, OD is just such an easy kill. If they relocated on top of OD, all right, maybe not right now since Era's out of mana and N0tail has no health, but if they had full health, full mana, and they relocated down here, that would be a dead OD. I think they would have the damage to kill him pretty much completely in the duration of that Electric Vortex. Maybe he
2 or 3 times
off, but you know.
Yeah, okay. They could kill him during the Vortex. That's...
Yeah.
Yeah, they could kill him during the Vortex, but also they have the damage to kill him 2 or 3 times with the amount of mana that Storm Spirit will have with IO. It's a really intelligent combo. And one thing we didn't talk about just yet with how these 2 heroes work together is we've kind of overlooked the synergy between Electric Vortex and the Spirits, because when you go for these relocate ganks, you will often keep IO very close to IO's target, or the tether target. Yeah. So when they relocate in, they can vortex into a full spirit explosion and then use them again. Because of the cooldown on spirits. The cooldown is 14 seconds, and the duration is, I think, 14 as well. I actually forgot, and it doesn't show anywhere here.
Yeah.
Tooltips. I forgot what the exact duration of it is, but I believe it's, if it's not identical, then it's at least very, very close. So you can get double spirits off if you do the perfect relocate timing. So when they're just about to run out, you relocate in, get spirits in the vortex, and then use spirits again. And these 2 heroes combined actually have a burst damage of way over 1,000 in that combination, and maybe even closing in on 12 or 1,300 magic damage just out of that burst. It's absolutely incredible what they can get away with here. Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. I'll actually look that up because I forgot the value of that. It's not a hero I've been playing too much myself, the IO. It's actually one of the heroes I've played the least.
Not a big Wisp player myself. Actually, I don't know that I've ever actually played Wisp in a public game, honestly. A hero that I've never had the desire. I've done like pub stump strategies where I queue the Wisp, but I've always been the tethered target, the tiny or what have you. Not a big Wisp guy. So it looks like this may be a delayed pause here, though. Based on the chat, it looks like N0tail having some serious connection issues. I don't know. Fnatic may be playing from a LAN cafe, as it appears that N0tail is going to switch PCs. So, maybe just a moment here, folks. We appreciate your patience. But such is the bane of live casting, live tournaments. Sometimes connections have some issues.
It's actually really strange. It doesn't say how long the spirits last.
Uh-oh.
That's really odd.
Maybe chat can help us out in 2 minutes' time.
I don't know the exact number of it, to be honest, but where would I look for that? It doesn't say in the Dota 2 hero library. Let's try somewhere else.
Google.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
PM one of your pro buddies. PM N0tail.
Yeah, that seems a little unlikely right now with this connection.
Well, you guys are both Danish. Maybe you have his number? Shoot him a text message real quick.
Alright, duration 19. There we go. I found somewhere where it says it. So, after level 1, on level 1 the cooldown is 20, then it's 18, 16, and 14. So after level 1 of spirits, you can get a double combo, and the higher level, the more flexibility you have in when you go in with the spirits. So, absolutely incredible synergy there, and I'm surprised it was actually 19. I thought it was lower, but yeah, that's definitely something to keep in mind, and perhaps a big reason behind this combination, because it's often what makes the IO +1 very strong. It's not necessarily just the tether and the fact that you go in, but the time you have to use the spirits. It's why it's a good synergy with Tiny, it's why it's a good synergy with Chaos Knight, and why it's a good synergy with Storm with the Remnant, with the Vortex. A stun that gives you time to use the full burst of the Wisp. And people often focus too much on the tethered target, but honestly, IO is dealing massive damage as well in this. If you look at the spirit damage, the hero damage is 100 on every particle.
Yeah.
So that's a 500 magic damage burst if all the spirits hit the hero. That's the same as...
That's pretty ridiculous.
Level 1. It's like a Laguna Blade.
Yeah.
It really is, and it's like the old Finger of Death, but Finger of Death got buffed a bit. It used to deal 500 damage, but you can think of it as, if you remember the old Lion, how much a Finger of Death does, that's what 5 spirits do when they hit, and then you can use them again.
Right.
it's kind of ridiculous if you get it off correctly.
Pretty ridiculous. It's, of course, not the easiest thing to execute. That's one of those, yeah, if you hit every spirit, which is sometimes easier said than done. But, yeah, that is a lot of potential damage. This combo is a very, I would use the word innovative here, that Fnatic have used. I don't think I've seen anyone else run Storm Spirit and IO together like Fnatic have. Has anyone else done this, at least recently, at all? Or is this kind of a new Fnatic thing?
I don't recall seeing this ever.
Yeah, I don't either.
Maybe. Na'Vi has done it once. I put on my little bit of a pudge voice on that one, but yeah, I think Na'Vi could have done it once in the past because that's a team that also favors these two heroes, but I don't recall seeing this at least for a very, very long time, and it could be a first. So Fnatic might be starting a new trend. We'll see if other teams pick up on this. At least I'm really impressed by it. I didn't imagine this kind of synergy between the two heroes, but now that I'm seeing it in play, it's actually working out very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always nice to see a change in strategy. I'm always happy to see teams experiment a bit with their picks and then be victorious as well. It's not quite as fun when you see crazy picks and then it just doesn't work and they get obliterated, but every so often a team tries something new and it starts to work, and well, that's how the meta shifts. Always exciting to be on the forefront of a potential meta shift, and maybe that's an overstatement, but I do like to see the variety. That's one thing I actually really like about the Dota 2 balance, that every hero is pretty unique, pretty powerful, very robust, and that just opens up for a seemingly endless amount of combinations that it's just constantly evolving, and just so exciting. One of the reasons I like Dota more than the other MOBAs we have at our disposal.
The other ARTSs, you mean?
Arts. Oh God, are you an arts guy? Are we gonna have to get into a boxing match about this?
I'm more of an ASSFAGGOTS kind of guy.
What? What is Jeez, man, what does that stand for?
You never heard of that one?
I might have to see it written out.
Just try to Google it.
You're gonna have to say it again. I can't comprehend letters that quickly, man. A little mild dyslexia. It's too much. Type it in Skype.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready. Here we go.
Don't be scared away by it. Okay. ASS. FAG. GOTS.
GOTS.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm sad that I actually typed that into Google. You're terrible.
You have Strife-styled Fortress Assault game going on two sides.
So. I actually see it. Aeon of styled Fortress Assault game going on two sides. All right.
I guess it's one of those cases where you like the abbreviation and you really want it to fit somehow, rather than the name being nice and then you make an abbreviation for it. So.
I kind of appreciate the Aeon of Strife shout out that starts it off.
Yeah,
I mean
that's very true.
That is some OG level stuff where I think a lot of... I just like the word MOBA. I don't know. That was just the one I identified with, I guess. I don't know why I've become a MOBA guy. I honestly just... It's the word that kind of stuck in my vocabulary, and I think both MOBA and arts are kind of misnomers in terms of what the letters stand for and what Dota is like. Neither of them are particularly descriptive. MOBA is just easier to say. I don't like saying arts because it's just confusing with the language, because arts is an actual word. MOBA, sounds ARTS. More like an acronym. ARTS, yes, because that's efficient. I actually don't mind calling it the Dota genre. I think that's really the most appropriate descriptor, but of course I also understand why League of Legends doesn't want to refer to their game's genre as the Dota genre, because there's some branding problems there, so I see where they're coming from, but I honestly think that's the best descriptor when it comes down to it.
Alright, we've got No-Tail back in. Now he has super low FPS for some reason, so...
Jesus, No-Tail.
He's super low FPS trying to play. Alright, okay, so Fnatic are gonna give it a shot. Well, hopefully it's just a little thing that ends for No-Tail. He is Wisp.
I like Velat here. He is Wisp. That is very astute, Velat. He doesn't need good FPS.
Good FPS.
Alright. We'll see if that's true. So, and then No-Tail's just standing here in the tower. There we go. All right, he's going to start moving. Phew. Phew. All right, good. So, we're back in it. And looks like we can resume here. And, all right, so where were we? Just following that successful team fight for Fnatic. And, oh, a hook shot. They're going to pick on No-Tail here. Oh, Next.KZ. BM. Hookshot going to connect with No-Tail, and that will be a Wisp first-class ticket back to the well, so he's going to get cleaned off a little bit and then head right back into the action. So Next.KZ will grab their first kill onto the board, and we're back in this match. So, recap, Fnatic with a pretty big lead here, about 3,000 gold, 4,000 experience, 6-1 here at the 10-minute mark. OD, that saving grace for Next.KZ. He's the one farming very well, and the Clockwork going to get a little pick-me-up following that kill. Where do we go from here, Synderen?
That's a good question. Oh, I'm hearing a relocate, and I'm watching a relocate bottom. Mantis doing his best to escape this. Nope. Oh, actually, he's going to buy some time here. It's going to be support coming in, but...
Oh, actually, Sanity's Eclipse as well as the Sonic Wave come out. They're going to do a bit of damage. Won't be enough for a kill. The relocate back. Equal will survive as he does blink over the trees. And Trixie going to get disrupted, but he is going to be able to make it out, at least for now. But Equal will pursue. Trixie trying to be crafty there.
Next level juke attempt.
Not going to find it, though. And they are going to make it a 1-for-1. The Timbers off for the OD. Still a favorable exchange for Fnatic, in my opinion. That valuable farming target will get shut down. Era looking for a bit of vengeance here for his buddy. Not going to find it, and it's just going to go back to farming, it would seem.
Top tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's looking good for Fnatic still. That exchange, that was worth it if they trade that. Oh, what a dive from Equal here, getting on behind Fly here. I'm not sure if he can get out of this, though. He's going to need some of Trixie's juke moves here right now. Is applying them so far. Now he gets spotted.
Which way is he going to blink? Oh, looks like he's going to try to go to the secret shop. Maybe going to blink down to the Roche pit. And Trixie knows it. He is going to Timber Chain forward. Will throw the Chakram, thinking Equal may have juked into the tower, but Era going to walk right into him. Oh, Equal, you're so dead. Nice convergence from Fnatic. They'll find it. And that is level 11 for Era now. They're going to find an invisibility rune, and they will tether up, so No Tail going to be able to bottle it up. Era going to get topped off here, compliments of that overcharge, and now they are hungry for blood. Is anyone going to give it to him? Well, not quite yet. Tether will expire. And they're just going to roam about. Now up in the top lane, What a fuck and Hani. They're going to go toe-to-toe. Relocate comes. Era going to ball lightning into the cogs. And that's going to be an easy kill on the Clockwork. That's exactly what you were talking about. Without the Wisp, that could have potentially maybe been a kill onto the Razor. But, well, made for easy support. His Clockwork sort of stuck inside of his own cogs. Made for an easy kill there for the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, this is going to keep happening. That's the problem for Next.KZ. It's going to keep happening every time Relocate is off cooldown again. They're going to do it again. No Tail effectively scaring away the OD on his own because he's afraid of what could be coming with him. No Tail is very far in here. Okay.
No Tail is bold.
Scouting a bit.
Yeah.
They think it's an illusion.
They really don't believe it's real, and now that Orchid is out for Era. That's the end of OD. Down goes I can't believe that. They really thought he was an illusion. That is unreal. Now they're really going to be able to capitalize. Equal in big trouble. Blink coming up, but not fast enough. Godlike streak coming out. The triple kill for Era, and it's not over yet. Hani still in the mix. Fly going to get stuck in the cogs of What a Fucka. The Shadow Demon falls, and this will be a 5-for-0 exchange, I think. Era going to have plenty of mana. What a Fucka going to get Electric Vortexed, and he will fall. Alchemist has now respawned, but... the plays, the ultimate bait, GG at the 13-minute mark. Fnatic just going to run away with it. A lot of it coming back to that very successful laning phase, but what an ender right there. That was just, that was too much, Synderen.
I think right before the game ends, of course now the graphs are flat because the game is over.
Oh.
I just checked, I think we had a longer pause than total game time, or at least very close. I think it was almost identical how much time the graph was flat to how much it was moving, so...
Oh,
yeah, Fnatic.
my.
I don't know. If you have a 10-0 Storm Spirit at 14 minutes and you have an IO and you've got full map control, this game is over. It's a good GG call. There's no point in playing on in this. They couldn't come back from this kind of position they were in. Amazing again. I feel like Fnatic has really... they're playing their A game right now, and it's a good time for it if they want to go to Kiev once again.
Yeah. Can absolutely agree with you on that front. Now, the Fnatic Gauntlet... pardon me, will resume on. Game 3 coming up will be Fnatic versus Empire. They've had a great 2-0 start to get things started today. We've got our third match coming up in just about 15 minutes here on Beyond the Summit. Our Day 22 Starladder Season 8 coverage will resume. Zayori with me once again is Synderen. Thank you for joining us, guys. Stay tuned during the break because we've got a lot more great Dota coming your way.